Good evening. What's up? So Chris Sky is going to be in a few minutes, and we'll have an interview. Yeah, yeah. Can't a meme saying there's we can't you can't hear us.
We can fix that. Howdy, boys. Yeah, we should be good now.
Okay, so apparently you were muted.
Yeah. Yep. So, hi, how's it going? We're waiting for, yes, Chris Sky, and
Yeah,
like I said, we were waiting for today because Chris had to go. I hear myself, by the way. Maybe lower my volume on your end a little bit. Um, but yeah, he went on the Stu Peters show. If y'all saw that shit, it was a fun day. And he had to wait till that happens until he can come on this show. And he had a little spat with Mark Friesen,
yeah.
the Grizzly Patriot.
It was
And
interesting. We watched that. We covered it on the show here.
yeah, and they talked about the anti-lockdown protest on Canada Day, I guess, where
Headphones.
yeah,
Don't want to get any reverb.
and Chris claims he was invited. Well, he showed what he showed there. He went through what he has as evidence, and then Mark Friesen gave his explanation,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna talk to him about that. I felt like there was maybe truth to what they're both saying, both Mark Friesen and Christian.
Nugget,
That's a nugget. Yeah, that's how I felt at the end of walking out. There was some truth on both sides, and then like maybe some
Yeah, there's probably some misrepresentation on both sides.
that's true. I think there may have been some disorganization in the lockdown, the rally process, and that whole process
Mm-hmm.
of like organizing the whole event.
Yeah, like the no more lockdown movement and
Yeah.
organizing the rally and who's going to speak, who wasn't going to speak. Yeah, that might have been, a little bit more unconventional, right? It sounded like certain people were okay with Chris speaking, certain people didn't want him to speak.
So we did that. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna just like get a little bit more, just get his
Got a
opinion
few
on,
extra questions
yeah,
too.
maybe his opinion on what happened there, on the Stu Peters show. Which, by the way, I like the host. Stu Peters is a good host. So
Yeah, he was great.
go check it out. Go
Very
check him out.
very neutral on the whole debate, which
Yeah.
was great.
And of course, we're gonna have to. Well, why are we here? We're here because of Rob Carbone. We're gonna
Of
ask
course,
those
this is
questions.
how this is how we got to really know Chris is through the Carbone saga.
The Rob Carbone saga. Yes, like I keep saying, but this is the story how it started. Saw Chris last year at a rally, didn't think anything of it. He's on our side. Then we saw Rob Carbone. I saw some Rob Carbone ads on Facebook, and I said, "Oh, look at this, Republican Party of Canada. How strange." And we
Now, one
checked him.
interesting thing that ended up happening is actually he ended up putting some ads on our videos.
Oh, that was amazing. One of the videos, like I don't know what happened there, but he's like, "Yo, check out these people. They're stupid," and he puts an ad on it to like boost it. But his message wasn't attached to it, so it was just our video boosted on Facebook. So thanks for that. He really helped us on Rumble.
It was nice, yeah.
But yeah, then we saw Chris side by side with Rob Carbone.
Yeah, they were like father and son, in fact.
They called themselves as such. And well, that's why he's involved here, and so we
This is really what, yeah.
started
This is where we
concentrating on
got
the
to know each other.
videos. Exactly. Started nitpicking on some of his videos, some of his what he was doing because he was tied to the hip with Rob Carbone, And well,
And so
really,
now,
he's a character, really, as well.
now he's still tied to the hip with Rob Carbone, because it looks like Mr. Carbone is saying that he's gonna be putting Chris in jail with all these allegations and this that he's got going to. I mean, Chris has been charged with uttering death threats against Rob and all of the premiers in Canada, right? Especially Doug Ford. They always mention Doug Ford.
Doug
They
Ford.
say Rob Carbone, Doug Ford, and all the premiers in Canada. So I guess
Doug
that must
Ford's
have been
really
what he
important.
said.
Yeah.
Now apparently there's a recording of this. That's what the intel I have is telling me.
Apparently.
But Chris is saying that this is just Rob making statements. So
It's
that's
phony
something that we're gonna
baloney.
want to clear up.
He
Yeah.
says that's all baloney.
Oh, we want to clear some of this stuff up. Now Chris says he has tons of evidence on his side as to why Rob would want to make false allegations against him. He says that he can unveil some evidence that will show that Rob Carbone is in fact a fraud. And so this is one of the reasons we've invited.
Uh-oh. This is why we've invited him. Zip. Oh, you cut, and now you're back. Yeah, we're good.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, yeah, this is really one of the main reasons we've invited him on the show, right? Is we want to discuss this whole situation.
Robert Carbone. Hopefully there's not too many of those while we're interviewing him, but that's fine.
Yeah. Now, DQ is in the chat, and he says that Carbone pays his rent. Like Carbone pays his rent, not his own rent, but his rent.
But that's a problem.
We know that Chris Guy says that Carbone doesn't pay his own rent, right?
Yeah.
But DQ says Carbone's paying DQ's rent.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe Rob Carbone hasn't read a good Jordan Peterson book. You need to clean your room, buddy. And he needs to pay his own rent before he pays someone else's rent. You know?
Very altruistic man, I guess.
Yeah. He would clothe his neighbor before he would clothe himself. To a detriment.
No, I mean, that's a man of God right there.
It's a man of God. It's the kind of guy I want by my side during a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Chris Sky would be not bad. Zombie apocalypse. Maybe.
I think zombie apocalypse, non-zombies kind of got to get together. That's my vision.
That's right. But then you got Chris Sky. He's like... Then Chris Sky's he's gonna go on every platform he'll think of and get a megaphone and attract the zombies. Like he can't help himself but to grab a microphone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of world we're living in. If the zombies are edible, I mean, it could be great.
Oh, I've never heard of that concept. An edible zombie. But that would be nice. Made of.
A lot of these apocalypse movies, you got trouble finding food. I don't know if you become a zombie if you eat the zombie, though. So, don't be the first guy to try the zombie.
Yeah. Canamine says Carbone will be the next villain in the next
Fast
and Furious.
Let's try it. Make sure you got your gun out.
Yeah.
Ooh, lesson.
Yeah, we didn't get that joke because you keep cutting out now. But now you're good. It's not good.
Yeah.
Chris Sky attract the zombies.
I don't know if it's maybe because this doesn't usually happen, so I don't know if it's maybe my connection through Zoom.
Well, is there maybe a store heading our way? I don't know. So maybe his connection to Zoom. Because now you're cutting out again.
There is. Let me see if I can maybe shut down a few things. Yeah, I think I know what I'm gonna do. One sec.
DQ says, Chris Sky attracted zombies, explains the last year plus. Yeah, Chris Sky appears. So, it looks maybe like you're maybe better. You're doing better.
Do you think so?
I don't know. But you're not jamming anymore.
Okay.
Might come a little after, but so far we're
yeah. No, I had my Discord open in the background. I think that might have been what was doing
Napster, bro. Canna memes. Downloading them free MP3s. This is
it.
your captain speaking. No, that's the phones.
No, am I better now?
Yeah, I think so. You haven't cut out since.
Yeah, so it might have been the fact that I was still running Discord.
Yeah, Discord will do that. Napster. I've never used Napster. I've never that one I was not I was never part of. My first
Yeah.
was Kazaa. That was the first thing I
Okay.
used.
Okay. I was
Then
more like LimeWire.
yeah, then it was LimeWire afterwards. I don't know if they were like there at the same time or if like LimeWire's after or something, but whatever. DQ says tons of Def Lepp's MP3s. Yes, yes.
I mean, look.
I was
Okay,
downloading wrestling matches
that's how I gotta get my music, bro.
on the Napster.
Well, I have like I got an old school MP3, right? You know this.
Really?
Actually, I'm burning CDs. I'm burning
you're
CDs.
burning
That's what
CDs?
I'm-
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, as if you don't have a Walkman. I have a oh no, yeah, like a tape though, like a tape.
Yeah.
Like
Like
Walkman.
not a Discman, a Walkman. Yeah.
A Walkman, yeah. Oh, that's what you call them, Discmans. I still call Discmans Walkmans.
Yeah, but they're called Discman. Yeah, just to distinguish them, I guess.
I guess you have to. You have to.
You got your Walkman, and then that's it's like the tape, and then you got your Discman. Which
The tapes were better because they didn't skip, didn't they? Then you go to the
No, they
CDs
were
and you're all impressed.
although sometimes the tape would fuck up, and there was problems with the tape too.
Yeah. DQ asks, what kind of genres of music do you guys listen to? Right now, I like some jazz. I like some new jazz. I like some things that are very weird and like if you check out Jacob Collier, that's my favorite guy so far. And he's got really weird music. But I like some jazz. I'm a jazzman. You, Carl? Oh, Chris Sky! He's here!
Oh, is he here?
He's here. He's waiting.
Let him on in.
Admit. Chris Sky. Yo, what's up? How's it going, bro?
Good, man. You just went all green on me, though.
Oh no, I'm doing that. Well, I'm looking good
Oh.
on my end for my recording, but let me see if that works. Does that work?
Still green, but it's not the end of the world. I can hear you fine.
Yeah. Well, the recording's.
Carl's all right.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Well, the recording's gonna be fine on our end, but I don't know why
Yeah, that's
Zoom
cool.
does
I
that.
don't care. I'm just letting you know. I was making sure it was just on my end. If it's just on my end, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks
Okay.
for letting me know, and I think I'll click back into position. But friggin' Chris Guy, thanks for coming. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy dude, and you're in demand.
Well, I told you guys I would come on. I was really sorry I missed it in Montreal, but it got crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I saw the videos. You posted videos.
In a good way. Yeah, it was awesome. It was like
Yeah, you had fun out there, right?
I did, because we just went out there because everything was open. So we went out there so we could actually go and sit in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And we actually wanted to go to this one restaurant called Gibby's because they have beef Wellington, which is like my favorite thing in the world.
Nice.
And we called for a reservation and they said we're fully booked. And I was
Wow.
like, So I called back
Yeah.
the next day to see if anyone had canceled. They said the same thing. Dr. Z called them and he's like, just out of the blue, and he said, I'm with a celebrity. And he didn't even say who. And they said, okay, then we got a table for you.
Yeah, well, they'll
And we
just.
just showed up at the restaurant and they let us eat there.
They
He didn't
want.
say who he was with. He didn't mention anything. He just said, I'm with a celebrity. And he gave it a shot. And they said, sure. And then when we showed up, they were happy to see us. So they sat us down.
Nice. Well, they needed some
Well,
stars
that's
there.
a nice trick. Nice trick to know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know it works, right? I was just about to say that's a life hack for everybody to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you get there and then no one knows you? Do they still give you the table or whatever? I mean.
That's what I was worried about. I was
You're like,
this
it's,
is
you're
a
like, it's
big-
cool. I'm big in Germany, bro. Don't worry.
That's
Yeah.
what I was worried. I was like, this guy's going to say he's a celebrity. I'm going to show up. They're going to be like, who is this guy?
Oh,
But
that's
no, it
awesome.
was cool.
That's
It was
awesome.
cool.
Well,
We got our.
I'll go for it.
No, go ahead, brother.
All right. Well, thanks. So yeah, Chris Sky's here. I appreciate it. We've been following the Rob Carbone saga, but and here's Chris Sky here just to talk to us, and we've been going back and forth, just playing some games. And he has a book. It's Just Say No. So he has a book out.
It's right here. There you go.
Nice. Check it out. Just Say No. And he's just to start off, we are firmly against the lockdowns. The whole ridiculous shenanigans that we're going through. So I appreciate what you're doing out there, and just going out there and speaking the truth, as you like to say all the time. So no hard feelings, and I understand you wanted to wait till today because you went on the Stu Peters show recently, and you had a big spat with Mark. We did. We covered it. We covered it. We watched it. We went live and we watched it. And yeah, Grizzly Patriot, and you had a spat, and you talked about the Ottawa situation, and it seems like you walked away thinking that Mark Friesen is still, I guess, disingenuous, I guess, after that.
Well, he's not gonna. He covered his ass by saying to the best of his knowledge and things like that, because he already knew that I had the evidence. He already knew that I had been invited. The whole thing was a joke from the beginning. Sorry, this is not my phone ringing.
Oh, that's fine.
It is my phone ringing. I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, good.
That. But yeah, he knew exactly what was going on, and so did Randy Hillier. That's why Randy Hillier was so upset the day of that he had to come and bump me and tell me to go F myself, because he knew I had the email from his organization, and they're trying to pass it off that it wasn't an anti-lockdown event being thrown by his organization. No more lockdowns. He even had the audacity to have the no more lockdown sign, and then he put a Just Say No banner on it. And then this guy wants to tell me that they didn't want me to speak there. I have the timestamp email from June 28th. After I had the invite in writing, literally a written invitation, they had made a flyer with my name in red on it, and they can say anything they want about this wonderful speakers list they had. They didn't have one name on any official or unofficial flyer for the event. They had a speakers list for the internal. Not the public never saw it, so they could have had the best speaker in the world on it. They could have had Jesus Christ on the list that's speaking, coming back as the Messiah, and nobody would have known because they didn't put it on the flyer. They only put one name on the flyer, mine, on June 29th, and they tried to say it was an unofficial flyer. Meanwhile, I promoted it on virtually every social media platform in existence, on multiple live shows, and they're going to try to pretend like they didn't see it and didn't know that I was coming there to speak. The whole thing stunk to high heaven from the get-go. And if you or them can name any event I've ever attended without speaking, please go ahead.
Well, I mean, we were at the first Canada Day event that you were like in 2020, and we saw you speak there, so we know that you're kind of part of the movement. But I mean,
day one.
you
since well before those politicians, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, Max was there too, though, and
what was
so
Max? Max was a conservative. Max in 2005 was head of the Sustainable Development Committee, and even after it was defunded by Harper in 2005, he took it upon himself in 2006 to go above and beyond the call of duty and partner with George Soros and the Tides Foundation to try to find ways to install sustainable development policies, otherwise known as Agenda 2030, into Canadians' lives using the government against Canadian will. In 2008, when he became our foreign ambassador, he gave over $550 million to Haiti for foreign aid, where his daddy was the ambassador until 2001. And if anybody asks him about this, he'll just block you right off the bat. In 2010, he tried to get us on the UN Security Council seat, and this is a non-globalist, and he was quoted as saying we needed to integrate more with the UN for Canada's future. Does that sound like a globalist, an anti-globalist, or a globalist? And finally, he lost his job as foreign affairs minister because he left classified documents at his girlfriend's house, and she had to go and return them to his boss. So he was forced to resign. So a guy can't even hold on to a document. He thinks he's going to hold on to a country. And then Mark Friesen falsely claimed that Maxime Bernier left the Conservatives because he was anti-globalism and he tried to create his own party. No, Maxime Bernier left the Conservatives because he tried to gain leadership of the Conservatives, and when he failed to become the Conservative leader, which we know is would be no different. We're in a Conservative province, and it's the most locked down than anywhere else. So he tried to be the leader of the Conservative Party that we know is corrupt, and when he tried and failed, then he went to the PPC because he knew it was a small unknown party, and because he was coming from the Conservative leadership fight, he would be uncontested to be the leader of this unknown party. And that's the only reason. And then all of a sudden he changed his stripes. And now, after 20 years of globalism and shilling and trying to become a conservative leader, he's now this so-called anti-globalism freedom fighter, hero of the people. Give me a friggin' break. The guy still has people selling face masks with PPC logos with disclaimers on the website, which they showed on Stu Peters' show, by the way, that said, profits go to Maxime Bernier. And they try to give me a hard time for writing a book that I wrote myself that teaches people about the scam, teaches people about the solution, and gives people knowledge, hope, and courage, versus these guys getting people to sell face masks. It's ridiculous. So do I trust these politicians? I don't trust them at all. Randy Hillier lied directly to his supporters on video and then sent it out from the same email that he sent my invitation to speak from. It doesn't get much more ridiculous than that.
Okay.
So,
well, I mean,
I want to point out how I've been getting literally attacked from the right, from the left, from the center, from the top, from the bottom, pretty much from every single angle. And all I've been doing this entire time is preaching the same message, united noncompliance. That doesn't make me a leader. It just makes me someone leading by example and trying to make other people act like me for their own best interest. I'm not saying follow me. I'm not saying elect me. I'm not saying make me your leader. I'm saying if you act like me, if you took off your mask, if you're willing to open your business, if you say no to the vaccine, then this would be over. And you don't need a politician for that. You don't need an election for that. And the proof is the United States. They didn't wait for some new Trump-like figure to come in and rescue them from Joe Biden when Joe Biden said, take the vaccine or you're going to be wearing masks forever. No, the people stood up, said, we value freedom. We're adults. We're going to make our own decisions. They took off their masks. They opened their business. And now virtually every state is wide open, no masks. A lot of states are making laws against masks. A lot of states are blocking the vaccine passport. And what's happening over here in Canada? They're making vaccine passports. They're getting ready to impose restrictions on people who don't take the vaccine. And they're setting the stage for another lockdown in fall, blaming it on a new variant that's going to get all the people that are vaccinated sick, but of course be blamed on the unvaccinated, which makes absolutely no logical sense. But when you're dealing with emotionally scared people, you don't have to make sense. You just have to scare them. And that's exactly what's going on right now. Fear-based mind control on a grand scale. And it's working in Canada because Canadians are very weak-minded. Canadians are very naive. Canadians are very trusting of their government. Whereas in America, they have an inherent distrust of their government. And that is the big difference. It ain't a politician. It ain't a political campaign. It ain't an election. It's the attitude of the people. But happy to say, like you guys saw in Montreal, the attitude of the people is changing. Because before I could walk around and nobody would even know who I was, or people would try to give me antagonistic interactions, try to videotape me or say something mean to me, unless I was at a rally. At a rally, I was treated like a celebrity status. Everybody wants to take a picture with me. Everybody wants an autograph. Everybody wants to talk to me. Well, now it's like that every single place I go. I went for breakfast with my wife this morning. We had to meet the staff. We had to meet the owner. More than half the people in the restaurant lined up to take pictures with us. And these are just normal, everyday people. And half of them don't even vote. And we're talking about age 5 to 105. I have little grandmothers run out of their house when they see me screaming and come over to give me a hug. It tells me that the people are aware, the people are awake, and the people have had enough, or I wouldn't be having this kind of support from the average person. And let's not forget, my solution, I said, is not political, but the largest demographic of people in Canada, bigger than all political parties put together, is the non-voter. True or false?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
True.
I mean, we like us ourselves, I mean, we do engage in voting, but at the same time, we're not supporters of the state. So we agree with you in many ways when it comes to the fact that we don't need our government in most cases.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a good move to push. Some things that I wanted to question you on is you have a specific tweet that you put out after the Canada Day event that says that you crashed the event. Is that kind of contradicts a bit what you're saying? I'm wondering, like,
I can
you
explain
address that?
Okay.
I can explain that.
Yeah. We just want you to address that. Yeah.
I can explain that because as I was going down there, when I got to the event and I got on stage, and they came up to me and they said, and I asked them when I would be speaking, because they told me I could speak, but they never told me when I would be speaking. They told me they had a speakers list they were going to put me in somewhere, and I wasn't picky. I didn't care really when. And then I asked them when I was going to be able to speak. And then that's when they told me and I tried to ask who we was, and they didn't want to say who we was, did an internal risk assessment, and we decided it wasn't in our best interests to allow you to speak. So when they said that, after inviting me, after letting me promote the event to like millions of people on virtually every social media platform and live events, I knew they were literally trying to railroad me, trying to steal the support, trying to set the stage to ban me from future events, and literally trying to hijack the freedom movement, which doesn't need a political solution, as we just said, and turn it into a political campaign. Because politicians don't like the message of united noncompliance. United noncompliance means the people have the power, means the people have the power to end this whenever they choose. And if the politicians aren't needed by the people, if the politicians can't get the support, the money, and the vote of the people, like a parasite, they die without their host. So that's why these politicians did not want me to speak. That's what was so contrary to their message. Because what was my message? Getting our rights and freedoms back, getting rid of things like mandatory vaccines and mandatory vaccine passports and restrictions on our travel and freedom and businesses and families. Does that sound like something that's contrary? Does that sound like something that's offensive? Does that sound like something that's bad for Canadians or bad for Canada? Or is it just bad for their political campaigns? So as soon as they said that, and I knew exactly what was going on, and I knew they were trying to screw me and thinking they could just push me aside and thinking I was going to roll over and play dead, I gave them a choice. I said, guys, you can either let me speak next or you can make me speak next. And what I mean by that is the second time, in the first way, we work together. You give me the speaking slot like you promised. I go, I do my speech. Everyone's happy. The people are happy. I'm happy. You guys are happy. We all coming out smelling like roses. Or B, you try to do what you just told me and push me aside and take my support. And I will hijack your event. And I will simply ask the people who they want to speak and if they want me to speak. I said, you guys are the People's Party, right? They said, yes. I said, so doesn't it make sense that I should be able to ask the people what the people want? And they said, no. I said, that doesn't sound very much like the People's Party to me. So, and when I gave them the choice, they tried to call my bluff and said, no, we're not going to let you speak. And I thought, okay. So I grabbed the thing, and you can see they tried to take it from me. And this is when Randy Hillier came over because he knew I had the evidence against him specifically. And that's why he was so angry. He literally ran over, bumped me with his fat belly and told me to go F myself in front of everybody, caught on multiple videos, audio and video. So I walked up to the Supreme Court steps and I simply said, these guys don't want me to speak. The politicians don't want me to speak. What do you guys think? And they literally chanted, let Chris speak until they let me speak. And wouldn't you know it, right as I'm getting to the part about united noncompliance and the different phases, they cut my mic. And the audience had to holler and boo and cry until they stopped the singing choir. And then they let me finish. And then all of a sudden the narrative became, I was never invited. I showed up because of ego, to take over their event. The 5 minutes I spent on stage, even though Mark Friesen, as he announces me, says he's giving me his time slot, they spun the story to say that the 5 minutes I used made it so nurses couldn't speak, other people couldn't speak. They played videos on the internet where they started it after they cut my mic, so you couldn't tell that I had already been speaking. You just hear a choir singing and you see me on stage in this red wife beater, and it looks like I'm a psychopath on stage trying to stop all the people from singing so they would allow me to speak. They did everything they could to try to like assassinate my character. They even had Randy Hillier make a video specifically lying right to his supporters' faces saying how I was never invited, how they would have never invited someone like me. And he leaves out that the only way he got into the freedom movement is by using me in the first place through Fearless Ontario. And after I found out what kind of person he was after 3-4 weeks of working with him, Kellyanne, Vlad from Hugs Over Mass, and the boys from the line, he literally had our protest at Queen's Park split up in two because him and his little secretary, Michael Snape, were running it as their own personal political campaign and trying to dictate what type of people and what type of signs would be allowed at our protests. And that caused so much division. They ended up splitting our protests in two at Queen's Park to the point where I had to go and literally tear down the tent, bring everybody back together, denounce Fearless Ontario, and denounce Randy Hillier. And that's how he got into the freedom movement. And the only reason he got into the freedom movement is because he got kicked out of the Conservatives. So what does a career failed politician do once they get kicked out of their main caucus and they're an independent, which basically means unemployed as a politician? They latch on to whatever movement they can and try to suck money from it, and then try to invigorate their political career. And it has nothing to do with helping the people because they haven't done anything. What have they done? What has Randy Hillier and Maxime Bernier done since the lockdown? What have I done since the lockdown? Besides reach, wake up, inspire millions, I was the one that told everybody about the mask mandates and about the mask exemptions. I did the protest on the TTC that showed everybody about the mask mandates and exemptions and how you can employ them. I made multiple videos that went viral in all these places to show you how to go mask-free shopping. I literally created the face mask exemption cards and gave out thousands and thousands to Canadians. I made the airport video showing Canadians how to avoid the hotel quarantine, how to avoid the forced testing, how to fight and beat the fines. Like, I showed Canadians ways around virtually every one of the stupid things that the government tries to impose on their liberty. We even had people fight hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fines on their business and win. I was the one when I went to BC in April. I did a event for small business owners. We met with about 50 small business owners in a restaurant. This was the only event I did of its kind. This was at the middle of April. And I told them all, there's 50 of you here. I want to open on May 24th. I want to get enough businesses together that we'll be able to open. So I told them all, you guys are now the group leaders. There's dozens of you. I made them make multiple social media groups on multiple platforms, BC small business owners, Vancouver small business owners, things to that effect. And I told each and every one of them that their task over the next month was to go door to door to all the businesses in the vicinity of their small business and get as many people to join the group as possible and work online to do that. And if everybody did that, I said, when I come back May 23rd, we'll be ready to open May 24th. When I came back May 23rd, we had over 1,800 businesses on the list ready to open. And guess what happened in BC? The government allowed them to open on May 25th. You think that was a coincidence?
No.
And it didn't happen in any other province. So basically, as soon as I came to BC, everything opened with me. We were eating in restaurants. We had people inviting us to their stores. Gyms were open. Everything was open. It was like normal. But that didn't happen in Ontario. Why? Because you get a whole bunch of businesses saying they want to open, and then 3 weeks or 2 weeks before they're supposed to open, they all get scared and they back out. And that's why Ontario is the only place in North America where you can't even go and eat a meal in a restaurant or go to the gym. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's right.
And if everybody thinks it's over for all those wonderfully inept, poor compliant, mask wearing, double vaccinated people that are existing right now, guess what, kids? September, October comes around, they're going to be screaming about a new variant. And they're going to talk about how it's resistant to antibodies, which is another way of saying your vaccine's not going to work. But don't worry, they're not going to blame it on the fact that your vaccine is the thing that got you sick in the first place. No. They're going to say the healthy people who are unvaccinated are the cause of this new variant. And that's why all the vaccinated are getting sick. What's that going to do for them? Many wonderful things. It gives the stage for locking everybody back down again. Vaccinated, non-vaccinated, masks and all. Then it gets the vaccinated against the unvaccinated in a wonderful mash of division like never before. And it sets the stage for their wonderful vaccine passports, where they're not just using them for travel. They want to use it to restrict your entry to virtually everywhere. You saw the one in Quebec, no vaccine. You're not going to a restaurant, you're not going to the gym, you're not going to a bar, you're not going to a movie, you're not going to a concert. You're virtually not going anywhere unless you get their poisonous jab. That's where this is going, just like I warned you. And that's how they're going to set the stage to get the pressure on society to set up those restrictions if we don't refuse the vax. Thankfully, I believe when this happens, and I've predicted things over and over and over, and when I finally make this wonderful prediction and all the people who complied with everything finally realize that compliance got them screwed over instead of getting them their freedoms back, Canadians may finally stand up, and like Israel, we can get them to reverse the vaccine passport, remove our restrictions, and we can move on with our lives. That's the
perfect.
best case scenario.
That's what we need to do against the powers and the people, and that's what you're doing. So that's good.
That's what I'm
badass.
trying to do, my friend.
And again, going back to the rally, just one thing that Carl's in touch with Rob. He's talking to Rob, and Rob wanted, or he tells me that this is again, this is just him speaking here. He says you have a history of forging emails. So
Yeah.
so I'm just, you don't have
Sure,
to accept.
bud.
No, yeah, exactly, Rob. You don't have to accept here, but you had an email for the your invitation. Would you be willing to forward that to either one of us?
100%.
Awesome.
It was an email that Kellyanne Wolf got on June 28th around 5:30 p.m. She sent out an email to them. It came back. I think she contacted them through their actual website, like one of those contact forms. And they sent an email back. Yeah. I got it, like I said, on June 28th.
Just a
and it said in
screenshot.
no uncertain terms.
Yeah.
Give me I think I have your email. I got her to forward me the
anytime.
actual email on July 10th, so I have it in my inbox. So I'll forward it
Just
directly
later
from
on.
my inbox to you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No
Thank you.
Just because then we can.
And it's not like a screenshot of an email; it's the actual forwarded email.
That's
with
what
the
we want.
timestamp and everything.
Because then those accusations can't happen anymore. Because then we can kind of confirm that ourselves.
Yeah, I've never forged anything in my life.
Yeah.
Not an email or anything else.
That's good.
So just to get on kind of the Rob Carbone topic, you know, there's all these allegations around of the threats that you made towards politicians, right?
Yeah,
Carbone. Sure. He said you threatened Doug Ford and all the premiers.
Yeah, the only threat Rob was worried about is the threat of him getting charged with fraud, because he knew I had evidence that he took money. And usually he takes cash from people, which makes it a lot harder to prove fraud and a lot harder to trace. But in this case, because he had already got an eviction notice, the billionaire got an eviction notice on his house. Did he ever comment about that? He's going to say, "Is that a lie too?" Or you can call his building and ask his landlord, and he'll tell you that Rob didn't pay rent for 2 months straight, and they used a security deposit of $20,000 to pay those 2 months. And then when he couldn't pay the other month after 5 days, they gave him another eviction notice to kick him out. So I'm a billionaire, but I can't pay my rent for 3 months. Makes a lot of sense. I'm not paying rent in the first place. Secondly, he knows as well as I do that I have all the evidence of him coercing an old guy that just retired that had 25 grand to his name to give him a wire transfer of $15,000 for an investment that Rob will not be able to prove exists. Rob will give a fake email of a so-called trader that will just send an email right back to Rob, and he'll pretend to be the trader giving false information about something that doesn't exist.
So
and the person will never see their money again.
That retiree
and I would love to
you?
see Rob explain why he took $15,000 from a retiree and why that guy's never going to see his money.
But the retiree went to you as opposed to go to the public, or
Pardon?
How do you? So the retiree you're talking about, he went to you and told you all this stuff.
He went to me because he knew I knew Rob. He knew I knew Rob. So I got a call from this guy, and Rob knew that this guy knew me, but he didn't know that this guy and me were like the kind of people that actually talk back and forth. So that was a miscalculation on Rob's point. And the guy contacted me and saying, should I trust Rob? And at this point, I didn't trust Rob because he'll already lie and say he hired a campaign team. The lead of our campaign team was John Papadakis. He just died last month. Yeah. He was the campaign manager for Rob Ford, the successful campaign manager. Rob, at a meeting, I remember John will say this, Rob will deny it, but John asked for $2 million a year salary
isn't John,
to run
sorry,
the Republican.
Isn't John dead though?
He is now.
Yeah.
But we did work together for 5 weeks from in October or November. I can't remember the exact date, because Rob promised him what he asked for, along with 4 other campaign members. I don't want to name them on here because if they want to come forward, that's up to them. But if I have to, I will get them to come forward. And we had an entire campaign team working there for 4 or 5 weeks until they came to me and told me that none of them had been paid, not one. And he's going to try to pretend like they were all volunteering. Give me a break. They'll tell you exactly why they left. And they also left because Rob hadn't fulfilled what he owed me. I had also invested with Rob. And to this day, he will admit that he took my money because he told everybody about it. And he'll pretend there's some fake investment that doesn't exist. And he even had to admit that he has to give me the money back, but he pretends it's because the trader didn't want to do the deal anymore. In reality, there was just no deal, but because the entire public knows he took my money, he's pretty much on the hook for it, or he's going to jail for fraud. But there's plenty of other people who he took money from that aren't going to get it back. So, and that's the only reason he called the police. That's the only reason he called the police and told them that I threatened to kill him. No. I threatened to expose him. I told him about the evidence I just told you. And I said, I don't want to be connected with you. And you're definitely not going to be part of a Republican. I'm definitely not going to be part of a Republican Party or have anything to do with a fraud, con artist, fake, lying, fake, pretend billionaire, loser. And that's exactly what he is.
So we've kind of looked into this ourselves, and we're wondering just like, why do you think that the prosecutors would have chosen to charge you if there was actually no evidence? We know a few sources are saying that there's a recording of the call rather than Rob just saying
if there was a recording
we just want to know what you think.
There's a little thing when you get charged called disclosure, and that's when they have to give you all the evidence against you, my friend. There's absolutely no recording of a call. There's no context of a call. The evidence against me is Rob saying I said that, and Rob saying that I called him at a specific day and time. So that's what they talk about, a recording. They have a day that I called Rob and a time period we were on the phone. And me and Rob talked on the phone virtually every single day. So he could have.
So why do you think the prosecutors are actually charging you? Because I don't think that if I called the Crown prosecutors, for example, and just told them that I had a conversation with somebody, that they'd actually drop charges, right? Usually,
it's a combination of things. Number one, it's me, and they're looking for any reason to persecute me and prosecute me and make me look bad in the media and try to limit my freedoms, which we've already seen in multiple examples of, including no-fly lists, including banning my Instagram, including taking down my website, including making it so I can't drive, including making it so they took all my guns and raided my house. I don't know anything else they want to do to me. Silence. They have me on conditions where I couldn't speak in Ontario until the stay-at-home order was relinquished on June 16th. So, I don't know. Maybe they did it because they wanted to persecute me. Number two, he called them as the leader of the Republican Party. So it wasn't just a normal person calling. It was he was trying to pass himself off as a Maxime Bernier or a Jagmeet Singh as a leader of a political party. So they're going to take that more serious. But more than anything, it's more than likely, and this is only my opinion. The other things are more factual. This is my opinion. If you're someone like Rob Carbone, who's done nothing but take people's money without paying them back, and you're not shot or in jail, it's more than likely because you're a criminal informant. Because the way I was arrested suggests that they tried to kidnap me. They didn't try to arrest me. They didn't identify themselves. They came in an unidentified car, plain clothes, black mask, guns drawn, no lights, no pullover. They didn't pull me over from behind. They didn't come beside me and identify themselves. An innocuous car, something like a gray Maxima, just drove by me while I'm driving down Keele Street, cuts me off in the middle of the road. So I had to literally slam on my brakes on Keele Street, heading westbound towards the 400 between King Road there and Jane. And what would you do if you're me and virtually every day someone tells you they're going to kill you, they're going to cut you up, they're going to come to your house, blow you up, and some random car cuts you off on the street when you're on your way to the gym? That two guys get out with black masks, plain clothes, and guns in their hand, and they run at you. What do you do? What would you do?
I'd probably back up. Sounds like that's what you did, right? I'd probably back up.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. And they acknowledge I did that, because if I really wanted to run somebody over with my Range Rover, would I take the time to back up, make distance, and go around you? Or would I just put the pedal down and run you the hell over because you're in front of me with a gun? Yeah, well, in my case, I made significant distance and went around them. And then I got a phone call after the fact from my lawyer saying that those guys that just tried to freaking kidnap me were police. And why would they do that? Why wouldn't they come behind me and light up the cherries and try to pull me over like normal people? Because they didn't want me to be able to call my lawyer. They didn't want me to be able to set up bail, because they knew that I was supposed to leave the next day from my tour to launch my book, and they didn't want that to happen. So that's another reason why they were more than likely to use Rob's word. And if you think I'm wrong about how little evidence they have, besides the disclosure, and disclosure means they have to show me all the evidence against me, and the only evidence against me is Rob's word, and that I called on May 12th when he said I did, which is also telling, because a threat is only a viable threat if he believes he was actually in danger. He didn't report the threat till 6 or 7 days later. That's how scared he was. And then the same day he went on the Kevin J. Johnston show. He didn't come live, but they interviewed him off the show and got quotes from him. And he's quoted as saying how much he loves me, how I'm welcome at his house. This is after the supposed threat. Oh, really? How I have a key to his home and welcome anytime, and how he doesn't believe I would have ever hurt anybody. And right then and there, that already dispels the so-called threat. Secondly,
and that video is still up?
Of course, you can see I actually have it recorded. I already sent it to my lawyer. It's already part of our evidence. So I have no,
Okay.
and you can ask Kevin J. Johnson for it. It was like right out. It was made the day after I got out of jail, and I was on my way to Vancouver. So I can't remember the exact day offhand, but if I check the calendar, I can get you the exact day, and you can see it, and that's exactly what he says. So, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the plan here is, I don't know if you know, but Rob has agreed. Sounds, I don't know. I hope he comes on the show Friday.
Yeah, he'll just lie.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And it's
but I hope you watch.
I want it on record, every lie he tells, because it's just more. He's already going to get charged with obstruction of justice for the fake charges in the first place, and they're not going to actually go through with the trial because they know they have no evidence. And Rob's not going to want to put himself on the stand and commit perjury because he's going to end up getting proved as a fraudster and a liar. And then he's going to get charged with perjury, obstruction of justice. And then not only is he kind of screwed financially, he's going to be screwed, period.
Well, we definitely want his
They're
side.
just going to run this as long as they can, and then they're going to end up dropping all the charges. First, and I'd like to point something out. I got charged with 5 indictable offenses, which in the U.S. is 5 felonies. 3 counts of uttering death threats against elected officials, assault with a deadly weapon on an officer for driving around unidentified people that looked like they were trying to kidnap me, and then dangerous operation of motor vehicle for fleeing the scene.
Thing. Yeah.
Where I thought my life was in danger. So, under normal circumstances, if there's actual evidence, my lawyer called my bail surety and said, "Are you sure you want to bail Chris out? The bail's going to be around 150 to 250 grand." And I said to my lawyer, I go, "It's not, because they have no evidence against me. You'll see that it's just Rob talking shit." And my lawyer wasn't 100% sure of that, because I'm sure a lot of clients say things like that.
Yeah.
So he reassured Z that it could be up to $250,000 bail, because based on my charges, if they had significant evidence, that's what it would be. But bail is based on charges and evidence. So guess what my bail was set at, gentlemen? This goes to show you how strong their case is and how full of shit Rob is.
20,000.
Like 5,000.
5,000
5,000.
bond,
I think
not even cash.
I thought I
not
read
even
that.
cash. Okay, that's how,
Yeah, I thought I read
that's how strong
5,000.
their evidence is.
Interesting.
It's ridiculous, gentlemen. You could spit on me in public with a witness, and your bail would be higher than $5,000, because that's assault with actual evidence.
Well, we definitely want his sides.
Yeah, he could get his side.
That's gonna
and
be.
then you can ask
gonna be a
anybody
fun
that was
time.
on the campaign team exactly what happened, and they'll all tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he wants, I'll get the people public that he defrauded. Some of them won't want to come forward because they're ashamed of themselves or Rob intimidated them. But
Do you have any of the evidence that you can make public?
He owes me money. He won't even deny that he took my money. He'll say that it was supposed to be for an investment that was for a year. When I asked him for the details on the investment, he couldn't provide them. Now he's going to make the excuse that he has to refund me the money because of the charges against me. So the trader isn't going to want to do the deal. But there is no trader. He'll give you an email that goes to him. He'll never give you a phone number for the trader. Or if he does, it'll be somebody that's not a real trader, just somebody that Rob got to fucking lie for him. Because Rob is a complete liar. There's no investment. There's no money. He takes people's money. He uses it to fund his lifestyle, and he finds more people to rip off. Maybe he pays some of those people back with other people's money, Bertie Madoff style. I'm not sure, but I can guarantee you, Rob is not a banker. He's not a billionaire, and everything he had. Ask him about the pedigree on his bonds. Why does he have bonds that he can't cash or use anywhere in the world?
You mean the Providence?
Yeah, he can't prove the provenance on his bonds. HSBC will never authenticate them, no matter what he tries to do.
Well,
Why is
actually,
that?
I personally have an email from the Hong Kong Monetary Authority regarding these bonds that were apparently issued by HSBC. I don't know if we can pull that up. Do you have that?
Yeah, I do.
Ready?
Yeah. It's like right here.
So
That was the email he sent.
that's the email I sent.
He asked for. So there's the photo of him.
Yeah,
holding up
they're
the bond.
bonds issued from HSBC in 1995.
Yeah.
Right. So
And they were made as part of a stimulus package to refund the government.
Well,
And-
so here's the response that I got, right? So these guys are saying, "Dear Mr. Fluri, thank you for your email. The 1995 Lionhead bonds shown in your email, purportedly issued by the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, HSBC, and a value of $500 million is fake. We have confirmed with HSBC that the bank has not issued such bonds. Based on the image provided in your email, we believe that someone has altered a genuine HSBC $20 circulation note issued in 1995 to make it appear as a $500 million Hong Kong bond. attached for your reference is the image of an HSBC $20 note with the same print year of 1995. So they put in,
Oops.
I think we
They
have
put-
that, right?
Yeah. Is
That's
this
my
one?
image. Yeah, that's the $20 note.
That's the
They put-
$20 note, but I
And that's the
had one of
bond.
those bonds, and I had them checked out by a lot of different people. And the bond itself didn't seem to be the problem as much as the provenance on the bond. But regardless, one way or the other, they're fake. They couldn't be used, and Rob was trying to commit fraud every time he was using them. And when he tried to use them the first time, his excuse was, "Oh, the deal didn't go through because the other guys on the other side, one of them had a criminal record, so the lawyer killed the deal." So he came up with an excuse that sounded plausible at the time. And then when he hired this wonderful campaign team, a multi-million-dollar guy that got Rob Ford elected, and all these other people, and we're working every week together, I thought, okay, he's still legit. Then I get told that none of them got paid. Then he hasn't paid the web guys. All he does is he sends threatening emails out to everybody to try to stop them from coming forward. Like
Well, so Carbone says that
the guys who created his merch, he's threatening them right now to do all the merch sales or else. So these guys are being forced to like buy the merch out of their own pockets and ship it so Rob can take the money. And I can get them to come forward and tell you this too.
Yeah.
If they don't like
if you
Rob,
could, that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, I could.
Like Carbone says that he wouldn't have hired a campaign team because his party's not registered.
He hired them specifically to get it registered, and I can get everybody.
Elections Canada
to attest to
was
that.
doing an investigation, and that Elections Canada wouldn't allow him to do this or take donations. So, do you have a comment for that? Like, do you know that he's taking donations?
The entire purpose of the campaign team to get together was to get the party registered. It was in the third or fourth week where he got a thing from Elections Canada that was like somebody had filed a grievance against him to try to stop him from registering. So he's going to use that as a thing saying he wasn't trying to register. The only reason he got that is because he was trying to register. Otherwise, nobody would have made a complaint about him for trying to register. So that document right there just proves what a liar he is. And I was working with this campaign team. You think I made it up that I was going there working with these people? It's ridiculous. If if he tries to play that card, I'll get at least 3 of them to come forward. One of them I can't because he's dead, but I'll get at least 3 of them to come forward to state that we were there to try to get Rob registered, and the whole point was to try to rewrite like a new constitution for the country.
Now, do you know that he was taking donations from people?
I know he was trying to get money from anybody he could in any which way he can.
Okay, good. Because we didn't know if you, because we know in the interview that you had done last Saturday in Sudbury, or
Canameme.
Saturday, with Canameme, yeah. You had said that I guess he was taking donations. I wasn't sure if that was something.
I'm sure he does because that's how he gets it. That's the only way he lives. He doesn't have a job.
Because I'm sure that's something
he doesn't have a
Elections
job
Canada
or
is
any
gonna be
income.
interested in.
What's he going to tell you his income? Where is his income from? He's going to tell you it comes from investments and banking, which is all bullshit. He has no investments. He has no banking. Like I said, he couldn't even pay his friggin' rent. All he does is scam people for money. He's a scam artist extraordinaire, nothing else.
Well, speaking of
Complete
banking,
bottom-feeding loser. That's exactly what he is. Nothing else.
You released
People
the video.
in the actual banking industry, you know what they call him? A joker broker. He doesn't even know the proper terminology. He doesn't even understand what he's saying. When I put him in the room with a real banker to test how smart he was, the guy was literally laughing in Rob's face, and Rob was just getting so offended and so upset. Rob can grab a nice suit and look good in a picture, and that's about it. As soon as he starts opening his mouth and you start asking him questions, you see he's got the IQ of a friggin' turnip.
Well, Rob's told me himself he's not a banker in any way.
Yeah, that's why he tries to pretend he's got these bank bonds, and he tries to where did he get these bank bonds from? Ask him about his fake bank bonds. Where did he get them from?
Trust me, I know about the bonds.
Exactly.
And we're gonna ask more. Yeah, we would like to ask.
Of course, he's gonna make up some story. And the reality is, he tried to use them in multiple deals, and not once would HSBC authenticate them, meaning they aren't worth the paper they're printed on. And more than likely, he obtained them fraudulently, or the paperwork for them is fraudulent, or they're counterfeit themselves. Any way you look at it, it means he's a fake, a phony, and a loser. Period.
And moving on, you were talking about banking. You had made that video where you talked about the Canada
I can
Infrastructure
explain that.
Bank.
It's very actually, because this is when I thought Rob was legitimate. And I talked to a copyright expert, and even he was flabbergasted that Rob was able to copyright the actual law, because nobody has ever done that before. And what it could mean is, if you're just a normal person like you or me, and you copyrighted that, technically every time they use those words to make any legislation or any banking move, you can challenge it in court because you own those words. So you're not going to stop them, but you can put a spoke in their plan, and it'll have to go to court. They'll have to fight. They'll have to spend time. They'll have to spend money. So you can literally fuck with them. So it was legit in that way. Well, and the reason that bank is so powerful, if Rob was an international banker like he claimed, with access to billions of dollars in bonds and all these connections around the world, that bank in particular allows for domestic and foreign investment as long as it's based on infrastructure projects for Canada. So if those bonds were real and he had real banking connections, he could have brought in billions of dollars of investment that we could have used for infrastructure projects, for things like building oil refineries, desalination plants, new roads, better agriculture, like things to actually fund Canada, bring in billions of dollars from out of the country that could generate income for the provinces. And if you had that kind of power and you own the copyright and you were the party in power, whoever is the Minister of Finance gets the complete final say on any transaction that comes out of that bank.
But so like you said in the video that like the document you had gave you basically control over all of Canada's banks.
Yeah, if he won the election. If he won the election. But if you had that copyright, and you won the election and you made Fluri finance minister, and he knew what he was doing, and using the power of that copyright, and you were an international banker that had billions of dollars in your disposal, and you could bring in investment from Asia, investment from Europe, investment from Africa into Canada's banks that Canada uses to fund infrastructure projects, the amount of power you have is astronomical.
But it's into that one bank. Like it doesn't give you ownership of all of Canada's banks.
No,
right?
No, I was talking about that one bank, but you can make that one bank extremely powerful. Exponentially more powerful than it is right now, and for the good of the country.
The only thing is, like, if they revise the act and change the wording, they could probably get around the copyright.
Of course, but if you're still in charge of if you're the one in charge, you're not going to change the copyright, are you?
That's right. And
that was the whole idea.
Makes sense. And like you're talking about Minister of Finance, so yeah, that was incorporated in the story where you were to be, perhaps if Rob Carbone was successful, his Minister of Finance. Were you interested in joining politics at that? Like,
definitely not. Definitely not interested in joining politics, but I'm definitely interested in making a difference any way I can. And when I thought he had the resources and the connections to do that, and I could be part of the platform to do that, I was more than happy to help. Now everybody's asking me to run for prime minister. They made that poll on Twitter. They put me against Bernier, Trudeau, and Jagmeet, and we got almost 15,000 votes. And I won almost 65% of the vote. So I crushed everybody, which is absolutely embarrassing for them. But I don't want to be prime minister. My message is united non-compliance, is that you don't need politicians. The only reason I would even entertain the idea is because it would put me on the same platform as these pathetic politicians, and they wouldn't be able to run and hide from me, and I could get them one-on-one in debates, and I could put them on the spot, and I could friggin' show everybody who they really are. And two, my campaign slogan the entire time would be, don't count on me. Don't wait for the election. Get off your ass, take off your mask, and open your business. I would use my platform and my campaign to do exactly what I'm doing now, but with a mainstream audience and the legitimacy of a political party behind it. That's the only reason I would entertain ever such an idea. The thought of me actually being a prime minister and having to run not the fact of running the country, I don't mind that, but the fact of having all these stupid people after me every day, trying to put me on camera like Justin Trudeau, trying to make me their puppet, it just wouldn't happen. So it would end up me probably getting assassinated.
I guess so.
Or at least them trying.
So, I mean, you said that basically Rob has been working with the authorities. I saw the video. You said that Rob was working with the authorities to try to pin a laptop on you that he has in his possession.
Well,
or something
I know he has.
Right?
Well, this is why I say that. Because first of all, Rob's laptop, he broke his laptop. He sent it in to get fixed. So I bought a laptop from Staples and brought it to his condo. This must have been in October. For the first day or two, he used it. And then his laptop came back and he said he liked his better. So he used that. And I set that one up for myself as a second laptop. So all my social media, all my emails were logged in on there. And I never thought to log them out because I trusted him. I just left everything there. And he had it in his possession since the day that I got it up until the day that he made the threats. And now I don't know if he has it or the police have it, but I never saw the laptop since the last time I was at Rob's house, which was a long, long time ago. Mm-hmm. And that's why, and the reason I said that I believe they used it against me is because when I was leaving from my tour, and I was with Z, my bail surety, and the police had already pulled us over at 3:00 in the morning to see if I had been driving and to see if I was with Z. And when they saw I wasn't driving and I was with Z, they couldn't do anything to me, so they had to let us go. So we kept driving through the night, and at 11:00 in the morning, they sent a bail officer to Z's house to do a bail check on us. And they knew we weren't there, obviously. They already saw us on the road heading towards friggin' Vancouver. So they called us and they tried to intimidate Z to say that we weren't allowed to leave Ontario. But nowhere in my bail conditions does it say that. It doesn't say anything like that. I could literally go anywhere as long as I have Z's permission. He doesn't even have to be with me. I can go to Antarctica right now as long as Z sends me a text message saying, have fun in Antarctica, see you in 3 days. That's the way my bail conditions were set. So I knew the police were bluffing. So Z hung up the phone on them. They called my phone and tried to say the same thing and tried to coerce me to come back because they just didn't want us to go on this tour. And I said, I'm not coming back. You guys don't have any reason to make me come back. I'm not breaking any laws. So please stop harassing me. And I hung up on them. They called me back again. And this time they were very adamant. They said, nope, you breached your bail conditions. We have a warrant for your arrest. Come back right now. And I said, what condition did I breach? And they said, read condition number 2. And condition number 2 was I wasn't allowed to contact Doug Ford or Rob Carbone or any of the people I had threatened. And I'm like, I just got out of jail late last night. I've been with my bail surety all night. We've been driving through the night. So everybody knows I didn't contact anybody. I have witnesses. You think I'm going to not be able to call your bluff when I know I didn't do something? And all these calls with the police are being recorded by them, by the way. This is all evidence. So then the police officer insists that he had evidence that I had contacted Rob Carbone and I needed to come in to explain it. At this point, I realized about the laptop. I remembered Rob had my laptop and everything was signed in. So I knew that if they had evidence that I had messaged Rob, it was more than likely Rob messaging himself from my laptop. So I called the police out on that and I told them, well, if you guys try to pretend that you have evidence that I messaged Rob, I'm pretty sure it's going to come from a laptop in Rob's possession that's at his condo right now. So if you guys try to arrest me on that supposed warrant, I'll have my lawyer subpoena the IP address right away before you can even put me in jail. And we'll see that it's an MSI laptop and we'll see the location of it. And not only will we know that it couldn't have been sent by me, we'll know it was sent by Rob.
To be fair with you, I don't think Rob would have any problem. I don't think you'd even need to get a lawyer involved because Rob actually sent us an email here that he said he sent you and the police officer. I don't know if we have it to pull up, but yeah. So he sent you and the police officer about getting the laptop checked out. So if you want to do that, this is the one. If you want to do that, that would be the way to go, I would think.
Where was it? Yeah, therefore, let's put this to bed and have forensics check out the laptop. So, it sounds like he's down.
So either, and maybe he did, and maybe, I'm not saying he did. I'm saying if the police had evidence that I messaged Rob, that was the only way they could have. The police could have been just lying to me on the phone to get me to turn around and come in and been like, oh, no, it's all a misunderstanding. But by that time, I would have missed my tour. So
no, I just think it'd be interesting to get it checked out.
It would be interesting to get it checked out, but he could have also just sent it. He could have sent it from anywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
It made it look like it was me. So that's why. But when I called the police officers out on that, they just basically left us alone, and I didn't get bothered again for the rest of the trip until I tried to go to Manitoba. Did you guys hear what happened there?
Was that the one where you were getting
charged before I went there?
Oh no,
pre-crime.
Nope.
Okay, this is a first in Canadian history, so this is very important for your for your listeners. You all saw the Minority Report, right? Tom Cruise,
Yep.
pre-crime.
Yeah, the precogs.
All that
like,
craziness.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to speak as part of my tour in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I believe it was Friday the 29th. And then the next day I was supposed to be in Calgary. And the Calgary was like the big event for me. So I obviously didn't want to miss it. The day before I was in Regina, Saskatchewan. While I'm in Regina, they held a press conference in Manitoba stating there's a warrant out for my arrest. A warrant out for Chris Sky's arrest in Manitoba. So I had some people that had connections called to find out what happened. And they had literally went to a justice of the peace on the Thursday with a flyer for the event for the next day and said, look, they're intending on breaching a public health order tomorrow, and Chris Sky is intending on coming into the province to speak tomorrow. So grant us a warrant now to arrest them before they can do the event.
Mm-hmm.
That's like trying to tell someone you want to arrest them before they rob the bank.
Yeah.
So, but because that province is more corrupt than anywhere else, they signed the warrants for me and 4 of the organizers. So then I knew that I had a warrant out for my arrest. I couldn't afford to get arrested and spend the night in jail because then I would have missed Calgary. Otherwise, if it was like the last day on the tour, I probably would have just went. I didn't care. It's just a night in jail. But I didn't want to miss Calgary for Winnipeg. Sorry. So I told everybody, I'm not going to go to Winnipeg because I don't want to miss Calgary. Instead, I'm going to do an event in Saskatoon. That was public. So then the event happened. They know I didn't go to the event. They know I was in Regina when the event happened. So now they know that the warrant they put out for me should be null and void because they said I was planning on coming and breaking a public health order, but I never did. Meanwhile, I still have a warrant out for my arrest in Manitoba for something they said I was going to do that I never did. Yeah. So that's a first in Canadian history right there. That's how corrupt our country is. That's how far it's sliding to tyranny. And why do they have that warrant out for my arrest? Because they know if I do a Canadian tour, I got to pass through Manitoba. So number one, it gives them the ability to arrest me and slow me down for at least a day. Number two, once they arrest you, you're not getting out until you sign their bail conditions. And they'll put ridiculous conditions like I'm not allowed to talk to this person, this person, this person, this person. I'm not allowed to speak in public in Manitoba. Like they'll put such restrictions on my freedom, all from false charges from something I never even did in the first place. That's where we are in Canada today.
Yeah. Well, you're becoming a very important Canadian figure now with these historic things that are happening to you. You'll be in the Canadian books.
Well, did you see Karima a couple of days ago?
Karima, I saw. Yeah, we saw that.
So we saw where the interview didn't happen, and then there was like the whole Antifa thing, and
she set all that up. She set all that up. I got contacted. First of all, she doesn't even draw her own cartoons. So all those cartoons she drew of me are really her asking someone to draw them for her. That's how authentic she is. She's a cartoonist that doesn't do her own cartoons. Ridiculous. Number two, her people contacted me, the producer of the event. You see him in a video. He was like he was wearing a sleeveless black tank top. Cool dude. He actually wanted the event to happen. He thought she had genuine intent. He didn't know her like I know her. And he came and asked me, he's like, Karima wants to do a debate with you. She said you'll never, ever do it. I'm like, why wouldn't I do it? I'll debate anyone, let alone some far left Antifa queen. No problem. So he was all excited. He made the flyer. He set up the event. And then she started getting such flack from Antifa, the far left. Don't give Chris Sky a platform. Really, in reality, they just knew I would eviscerate her. So then to save face for her and to try to gain the support back for the event, which was really a setup to try to get me arrested, she told all the people that it's no longer a debate. It's only going to be an interview where she's asking me the questions. Yeah. And they even reserved the right to cut my microphone if they don't like my answers. That's how ridiculous it was. So she did everything she could to make me say, screw you, I'm not coming. But I was like, no problem. I'm in Sudbury during the day. I'll drive back to Toronto for you and I'll be there. And I did. And when I showed up to speak with her, I see all these Antifas dressed in black, black masks, even helmets on, bicycle helmets, like they're pretending it's riot gear. And they've made a blockade, and there's about 40 or 50 of them, and they actually have a barricade. And
yeah, we saw that. We made fun of them for thinking they were cops or something, right?
I was like, who are you guys? What are you doing here? And why are you wearing bicycle helmets? Like, I understand why you have masks. And they even had little weapons. Some of them had broken glass bottles.
Yeah, we saw that.
Others had batons with tape around them.
Wasn't there a bowling ball?
It was a bocce ball. You
Oh,
know,
bocce
You
ball.
know, it's like Italian. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Italian curling. So the ball's
Yeah.
like this big, but it's like a bowling ball. So you can fit it in your hand. If you hit someone with it, they're done for, right?
Wow.
It's like hitting them over the head with a mini bowling ball. But
Yeah,
you can swing it hard because it's not heavy. It's only a couple pounds.
that's
So they
crazy.
have all these weapons and they have this thing set up and they're standing there like they think they're friggin' in 300 or something with literally a cardboard barricade. And I was just making fun of them. I didn't even realize they were blocking the staircase to go down to go into the building until
Mm.
my wife told me. She's like, you know, they're trying to block you from going in there. I'm like, really? Those guys are going to block me from going in there. I said, watch this. I told my people to stand back. I jumped on the railing. I smiled
Yeah.
at them and I jumped into the sea of Antifa. And the first person that touched me got tossed. The second person that touched me got tossed. The third person hit me with a bicycle. So I took their bicycle and I tossed the whole group of them with it. And at that point, all my people behind me rushed through the barricade that I had broken. And Antifa ran like little girls screaming and crying for the police down the street and literally left their weapons like souvenirs. I actually kept some and made a video about them. I have the ball
Now,
and I had the stick.
That's awesome.
And then Karima still didn't come outside. And this is the best
yeah.
part of all. She's so phony and fake that they had planned this so well in advance that they took pictures during the day. They took pictures before I got there, and they had already made news articles with headlines. And one of the headlines was "Cops come and arrest Chris Sky." And I was live streaming everything on my website, realchrisSky.com. And she didn't know, but my web guys had the live stream set up right beside a real-time feed of her Twitter. And because I caused the melee by trying to get in, by pushing through Antifa and going to the front door, I accelerated the process where things happen. And she posted a story too early before it actually happened. She posted "Cops come and arrest Chris Sky," a big news headline, a big news story. Meanwhile, the cops hadn't even showed up yet. We were still scuffling with Antifa at that point. So it just showed that not only was it all pre-planned, it was pre-planned to that extent and that well coordinated. So then the cops showed up, Antifa scatters, they're not bothering anybody. I was still around there with a whole bunch of supporters. She sends out a guy, and I can't make this up, in a pink gorilla suit. He goes over to my buddy, Dr. Z, you know, my buddy, the Muslim guy that comes on tour with me, and the guy who bailed me out of jail, one of my best friends. Well, I'm a raging Islamophobe, by the way. I have to pull over 4 times a day just to allow the guy to pray, but I'm a raging Islamophobe. He's like my best friend in the entire world. But anyway, he was there. Gorilla Boy comes up to him, says, whispers in his ear. Z looks at me, he's like, Karima says she still wants to do the debate. She wants me, you, and Jenny to come inside. No problem, I said, I'm down. This is what I came here for. So they bring us to the front door. There's an army of security. They unlock it. They let us inside. We're still live streaming. As soon as they let us inside, they lock the door from the inside. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to do the interview or what? Karima's nowhere to be seen. Cops show up. They let the cops in. They tried to get the cops to arrest me. The cops are looking and they're like, this is being recorded. And I'm like, yeah, I'm recording too. And the cops are like, and they're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, what do you think I'm doing here? They're like, well, obviously we saw the online invitation for you to come here for a debate. I mean, but what are you doing here right now after all the scuffle? I'm like, well, officer, I came here to do the debate. You saw what happened. I'm like, and then I was ready to leave until a guy in a pink gorilla suit came outside and told us Karima still wants to do the debate. So here we are.
Is
At
the
this point,
gorilla
cops are
on a
looking-
video? I didn't see the gorilla.
This is all on video,
Oh, I
all
didn't
on my
see that.
live, on my web. It's on my website right now, on my Chris Sky TV, on realchrisguy.com. So I told the officer about the guy in the pink gorilla suit. At this point, they're looking at me like I need a psychiatrist. But thankfully, the pink gorilla starts walking down the hallway right at that moment. And I look at the officer, I'm like, see what I mean? So he goes, grabs the gorilla. They go upstairs to see if Karima still wanted to do the debate. And surprise, surprise, she didn't want to do the debate anymore after she found out the cops weren't going to do. Then she was dumb enough to come outside and get caught on camera with me. I don't know if you saw that footage where I basically explained everything that just happened. And I really I don't know. It was the verbal equivalent of drawing and quartering her.
I had here, we can move on. There's one thing again. Carbone is talking to Carl. He wanted me to show you one thing here, and it's just to get your response. He wants your response, so I wanted to do this for him. This here. So, regarding the merch, guys, he wanted me to send this, where it's an email about the merch guy specifically, who his name is Ron Kowalski?
Ron is a guy that Rob made buy the merch out of his own pocket, never paid him, and now is extorting Ron with threats to say, if you don't fulfill the orders that come in, and the money goes to Rob, not Ron, that I'm going to have you charged and arrested. That's what Rob is saying to Ron.
If you look at this email chain, there are RCMP officers on this email chain as well.
And he's trying, and it's all fraud. It's all because Rob never paid Ron, and now he's trying to scam Ron into putting up his own money to buy Rob's merchandise, spend his own money to ship Rob's merchandise, while Rob is getting all the payments and not paying Ron anything.
So
Ron is already
there...
down like $4,000. And Ron's the one that hooked up Rob with the people that were doing his website for him, and those people haven't got paid. What a surprise.
So that email exchange is people wondering like what's going on with the orders, and Ron's not answering. So Ron was in charge.
Ron didn't want to have to spend his own money when Rob's not paying him. Rob already owes him $4,000, something like that. I don't know the exact number, and now he's trying to make him pay. You can also talk to the T-shirt guy. His name is Peter. Rob didn't pay him.
Yeah,
either.
He's actually in this email chain as well. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. See? Patrick. So am I making things up?
It's right here. Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah, there you go. He never paid Peter.
Never
paid Peter. Never paid Ron. Never paid anybody on his campaign team. Never paid me. Made false investments for people. Took a lot of people's money, and never paid any of them. So and he lies about every single thing. And he uses his poor sick wife to gain sympathy. It's actually disgusting. And I feel sorry for her because she's probably the biggest victim of all his lies.
Well, so yeah, we'll definitely question him on all of that when he comes by.
Yeah, he's just going to lie. That's what he does.
Well, I mean, we'll give him the platform and then let the lies speak
for
what
he wants.
Then
we can talk.
He says the same about you, so I think it's good to have everything out. Yeah, I think it's good to get both sides out there as much as possible, right? As much like your side, his side.
Guys, you know what I do, right? You know what I do? I give everybody a chance to show that they're genuine and they really want to help the country and really want to help the freedom movement. I gave Randy Hillier a chance in Fearless Ontario. I gave Rob Carbone a chance. I gave Maxime Bernier and the PPC a chance. I gave Rebel News a chance, and every single one of them tried to screw me over.
Now, Rebel News is something else that we can get into. We watched the interview last night on our stream with you and Rebel, and you storming out. You know?
Oh yes, I stormed out, and I was yelling and screaming. I've been talking louder in this with you guys because I'm just in a good mood, and that's just how I talk. I talk loud. I don't think anybody would say I yelled or screamed at any point in that interview.
We both do the same thing. So it's
exactly. And the video was an obvious hit piece, and it just so happened that right after Rebel got demonetized off YouTube, when I was virtually getting interviewed once a week on their platform, they just never talked to me for a couple months. Then they invited me into the studio, and I actually showed David Menzies the email of me getting invited to Ottawa. And one of the first things he said in the interview was that he never saw any evidence that I was invited to Ottawa, and I had just showed it to him. So right at the beginning, I was like, "Wow, I heard you guys got demonetized off YouTube, and nobody knew where you're getting your money from, but I didn't know it was going to be a shady source." I said something to that point, and then he started with the whole ridiculous Holocaust denial. Denial. When I explicitly stated that not only do I know that the Holocaust happened, I was so intrigued and disgusted by it that I spent the time to go to Germany, spent hours on a train, hours on a bus to go to Sachsenhausen concentration camp and actually see the differences in the living conditions of the Jewish people versus like POWs and that. And then they tried to say that me questioning the number of 6 million, which is a biblical number for the Jewish people, not so much historic accurate. They started saying that makes me a Holocaust denier. The people that gave us the 6 million number started out at 18 million. And when you said, I don't think it's 18 million, they said the exact same thing. You're a Holocaust denier. You're a heretic. And then people pointed out that 18 million was higher than the entire Jewish population. And they're like, oh, maybe we made a mistake. So they revised the number down only 12 million to 6 million. And now we're supposed to believe that that's the actual number of people that died. That's as ridiculous as saying 30 million people died in World War II. We have absolutely no way of knowing how many people died. Do we know what happened? Yes, it was horrible. Probably one of the worst things we could ever imagine in human history. But it was also a world war. and tens of millions of other people died. And in my opinion, everybody should be remembered. And we need to remember that there was a lot more that was being fought for than just that.
So you said, just to clarify, like, you're obviously, you would say you're not a Holocaust denier, right?
Absolutely not. I just told you.
I just want to make that perfectly clear.
I just don't agree that they can say accurately there was 6 million. And the reason I don't like that they use 6 million is because in the biblical prophecy of the Jewish text, it states, and I'm paraphrasing now, that after 6 million Jewish people die, they will get their homeland. And then,
do you know what text that's in?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Torah. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that one of the prophecies of Jewish biblical text is that after 6 million Jewish people are killed, they're supposed to get their homeland back. And sure enough, after World War II, Israel was created. That's all I was pointing out with the significance of the 6 million.
We're no fans of Israel here, so I mean,
exactly.
We've got our criticisms there as well.
I agree. I agree. I agree. The state of Israel has the right to exist and all of that, especially now it's been so long. I don't like how it was created, but it's there now. So you, in my opinion, everybody should
have to deal with that in some way. Yeah.
Exactly. But I put the onus on Israel to create the situation where they could actually have peace.
They have all the power.
Thank you. So you're talking about people that are funded to the tune of billions of dollars a year by the U.S. They have a top of the line military, top of the line artillery, top of the line Navy, top of the line Air Force, and they're claiming that another country that doesn't even have a military, Army, Air Force, military is a threat to them. That's like me claiming a 3-year-old is a threat to me.
Well, let alone they don't have control over their own borders. They don't have control over their own infrastructure. They don't have control over their own airspaces, and yet they're a threat.
Exactly. So that, in my opinion, the onus is on Israel to create a real two-state solution, identify their borders, allow more autonomy to the people of Palestine, and if need be, create a buffer zone of UN troops between the two countries to facilitate safe travel and trade between the two countries. I think that would be a much more productive solution, not just for Israel or Palestine, but for the entire area of the world.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty ridiculous to try to paint you as some sort of anti-Semite, and that's not what we're going to try to do here or anything like that. But that's obviously what, I mean, I think anyone would have felt the same way during that Rebel interview, because it was both Jean-Marc and I both agreed that it was a little out of line, I mean.
Well, let's look at it this way.
There's a difference between Holocaust denial and, like you said, maybe questioning the estimate, right?
Yeah, that's right, and it is an estimate. So how can you tell someone you're not allowed to question a guess? Like, come on, man, it's ridiculous. It's a clear, like, literal assassination. And they're talking about a tweet from a post from 8 years ago, and it has absolutely no relevance to anything going on today. And that's why Rebel already lost something like 20,000 subscribers in 24 hours. And if you look at the comments on the video, there's literally thousands of likes for comments that are dissing Rebel and calling out Rebel for exactly what it was.
Yeah, I saw that. I tried through. Yeah.
Yeah, they even tried to covertly get one of the girls to film me in the hallway with her cell phone. You see them
at the end
talking in the hallway, trying to get me all angry and saying something. And what did I say? Yeah. I simply called David out and told him I lost respect for him, and I left.
Yeah.
What did I do? I do what I always do. I tell the truth, and apparently people can't handle
that. Other question I had for Rob Carbone: what did you think about his vaccinate all pets? Like that's one of his that's on his platform apparently. Vaccinating all pets.
He wanted to make a platform that would appeal to leftists as well as people center and right. So that's why he put things in there like free tuition for people if they vote.
Yeah, there was that.
And things like that.
Security guards at every ATM. That was a weird one.
Yeah, he had some weird stuff in there, and obviously we were going to try to revise it. But at the same time, I can't say that it's a stupid idea to try to appeal to as many people as possible.
Sure.
Right.
Or to try to engage the young people to vote. I don't think that was dumb either. So
no. But what about the vaccinations? What do you think about that?
That's ridiculous. He just thought that was I don't know. I can't say what he was thinking, but that was just kind of irrelevant. Are you going to vote for a candidate because they're going to tell you can vaccinate your gerbil?
Yeah, no. And what do you know about the Progressive Party? Because before the Republican Party, do you know anything about what he used to be doing with that Progressive Party of Canada?
Very, very little. Not enough to even comment on it. But I was very involved with the Republican Party because I saw him as a legitimate opportunity for someone who wasn't a politician, that actually made it seem like he had the resources and the connections to make a difference. And I was looking for allies any way, shape, or form. I was looking for help anywhere I could. Like, I'm new. This is not like I know what I'm doing. I'm new to all this. I'm flying by the seat of my pants here. And I was always trying to combine my solution with a political solution, because my solution is the way to end this. A political solution is the way to help make sure we can hold those people accountable and make sure it never happens again. So my solution is the short term, and hopefully a political solution can come about. But I don't think we can. Would you agree with me that we'd still be on lockdown whether the people voted for Trudeau, whether they voted for Scheer, whether they voted for Jagmeet? Don't you believe we would have been on lockdown regardless?
I think
exactly. So that means there's no political solution for us. And the proof is in the pudding with the United States. They didn't wait for some new Trump figure to save them when Joe Biden said you're going to be wearing masks forever if you don't take the vaccine. No, they just took their masks off, opened their businesses, and now states are making laws preventing people from wearing masks and preventing vaccine passports. Well, we're going the other way here in Canada.
What's really nice about their system is that they're a lot more federated than we are, so they do have a lot more control, like more localized than we do, and that is just, you know, great, because obviously they can get a lot more done with that government, right? They can actually get something done with the state, whereas on a federal level they can't get anything from their federal government, right? So this is why federation is kind of important. You kind of go bottom up rather than top down, right? So that we can kind of have way more control over the people who have actual power over us, right? So I think that's part of it.
The biggest difference in the United States on the local level where they wouldn't enforce these ridiculous mandates are the sheriffs. The elected sheriffs. They are the top law enforcement official in their counties. They have the final word. And if they say, we're not enforcing mask mandates, they ain't enforcing mask mandates. If they say we're not enforcing business closures, they're not enforcing business closures. And there's more than enough sheriffs that were loyal to the Constitution and put people's rights over these politicians' plans.
So I think that shows you really a big difference, though, between the fact that it's an elected position in the U.S. and it's not so much in Canada. Because here in Canada, I mean, we did have in Ontario, for example, the police did stand up at a certain point against Doug Ford when he told them you're going to have to card everybody walking out of their house, right? And they said, look, we're not doing that, right? That's against people's like constitutional rights, basically. But that's the stand that they decide. That's the line that they decided to draw. Whereas in the U.S.,
they drew a line somewhere.
In the U.S., the elected representatives seem to have drawn a line a lot quicker, right? So that's just something that kind of, to me, shows us why we need more of these positions, including our Senate, to be elected positions.
I agree, but that's a solution that can take decades to solve the problem. The only way to solve the problem in any amount of time before our rights and freedoms are gone for good is united non-compliance. I don't know how.
I would agree that people have to unite and stand together, and that's really the only way for us to move forward with our community and our society, and how to get rid of like all these tyrants. Really, that's it. That's basically we have to realize we have more power than they do, right?
Much more power. It's the equivalent. We're at war, and the people are oblivious to the fact. And not only are they oblivious to the fact, they're literally waiting to be told what to do by the enemy.
Yeah. Now we know that this movement is getting like really fractioned and we're getting like really divided, but unity at the end of the day is what is the most important. And if we can't unify, then we're screwed, right? So
to me, the division isn't really division. You're seeing division in little Twitter spats and little Instagram spats, and most of this is trolls and a few people.
Yeah.
When you go on the streets, I'd love you guys to just come anywhere with me in the city and watch how the people are reacting.
You know what, Chris? I think we'll be able to actually join you in one of your events on Saturday. This Saturday coming up.
This Saturday,
you're going to be in North Bay.
That's right. I'm in Tyendinaga and North Bay.
We're in the region. We're in the region near North Bay. We can come out and see you.
That would be fucking awesome.
So we can see the real you and everything that goes on around you in real time.
No problem. Yeah, well, at that event, it's not even fair because everybody obviously at the event knows who I am. You just got to walk. We should just go out for lunch or dinner anywhere in the city, and you'll see that the average person, people that don't care about political affiliation, half of them are non-voters. They are just happy to see me. They're happy to what we represent, which is getting our rights and freedoms back, and it shows me that the attitude has completely shifted in the country. And so I'm excited about that. And that's why the attacks against me have become relentless and from all angles and every which way possible, because what I'm doing is finally working. The people are awake, the people are aware, and they see me standing up and they see that I'm still here. So it's giving them the courage to do the same thing. I'm just trying to lead by example. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to be a savior. I just want to be the guy that shows everybody how they can save themselves. Period. Guys, I think I got to get going because
I was gonna.
You did tell me you had another show to go on.
I was gonna close it off there. And any last words? I thank you again. Like I said, like you said, you're a busy guy, so I appreciate you coming on. You didn't have to, and here you are. And
I just want to apologize once again for missing on our first show because that's not like me. I make like 99.9% of my things, so that's very important to me. Honesty, integrity, and being a man of my word is paramount to me. So
appreciate you for actually coming on. And it was great to have you.
I'm a real piece of garbage.
It was great to have you, and I mean, we want to wish you luck with everything that you do, your ventures, and especially your court proceedings and all that. Good luck with everything.
I'm not worried about any of them, thank God. I love you guys.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one, man.
Again, have a good one. Ciao. All right, well, that was Chris Sky. We had a nice talk.
That was Chris Sky.
We wanted
I feel like a lot came out.
Yeah, we want a nice neutral conversation to see, because we have Rob Carbone to come on here, and we still have his side.
We want to take a pretty neutral stance. You know, we want to get all the questions out. Some of the questions, obviously, a little touchy, right? But you want to play it by ear, and you do want to get all the information out. And then we can do the same with Carbone. You know, we want to, again, Stu Peters did a great job.
Stu Peters, very good.
You really don't want to take a side too much on either of these things. So we'll let Rob come on and speak his piece, and he's got the evidence that he can speak to, and he can speak to everything Chris just said. And then we might have some footage from Saturday when we go to meet with Chris as well, following the interview with Rob. So we'll obviously keep you guys posted with everything that we do. And make sure you like and subscribe to our videos to make sure that you keep getting those notifications and everything. But
stay tuned. When this is all done, next week we're back with a show. Just a regular old show. Who knows? Maybe
episode 100, actually. So
join us for episode 100.
Yeah, episode 100 next week. So join us for that. It's a very special time for us. And we'll have a lot of information for you guys. So come on.
Yeah. So right now, I apologize to everybody. We usually have a theme song, but I don't have it ready and whatnot. We have a different little setup. So we're going to transition to the thank you for watching screen. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you.
Share this video everywhere.
Share it everywhere. And thanks again, Chris Sky. And we most likely will see you Friday.